So I made at least 759 mistakes. I distilled it down to 8 for you. Has anybody here made at least 8 dating mistakes?
If I put 2 hands up, does that equal 16?
Okay, great. Is there anybody who hasn't made any dating mistakes? They didn't come tonight.
They haven't dated.
They haven't dated.
They registered, but they didn't.
Yeah.
First, number 8. Doing. Taking it too seriously. It's only dating. I used to get really petrified. I used to really care what people thought. And I used to go home and feel really bad. And I used to think I was a failure at this. And I used to get too scared to even talk to people. And I really took someone's indications of non-interest as meaning there was something wrong with me. And it was a very serious affair. And I see this a lot with people, that it is scary, can be scary. But I think to take the whole endeavor too seriously would be mistake number 8. However, mistake number 7 is not taking it seriously enough.
Ooh.
Okay, so we want to have this more, cultivate perhaps more of a attitude of playfulness, and it is, as people say, it's a numbers, I don't know, I'm not sure what numbers games mean, but sometimes that's a useful concept. So if we don't take it seriously enough, we're not going to put in the effort that's required. So let's face it, nobody here is 20 anymore. Nobody here is on a college campus anymore. Nobody's at community college where you're just meeting people all the time. It's free and easy. You haven't been hurt a lot yet, so you're less reticent to meet people. And a lot of people, you may have noticed by now, are already in relationships. So it's not quite like it was in college that you're gonna just accidentally meet somebody. We're talking about some of these other mistakes later, but it's gonna require some serious effort. Which brings us, thank you, right into number 7.
6.
Number 6. Rule number 6. Falling in love with strangers.
Physically
Gina, have you done that?
Oh, no.
more than enough time.
Are you doing it right now, Gina?
This is something I see a lot in my practice, is what's very common, because we all have the fairy tale fantasy. We all grew up with the fairy tale fantasy. Did you get that in Germany as well? You guys wrote the fairy tales, right?
Pretty dark.
Yeah, Grimm stories
They've
are a
been
bit more
sanitized
grim.
for Americans, but yeah. You guys wrote the fairy tale fantasies, but you know, we all imagine that it's we're going to meet this fairy tale person, and in some of my other workshops I've talked about that this person is, we're all being told who that is, because it's supposed to look like a movie star, act like a movie star, talk and squawk like a movie star, and regular people are becoming less attractive to us. That's what's being sold to us constantly through apps, through movies, through advertising. So we're being constantly told who we should fall in love with. And if we meet a being of that even resembles this, people feel like they've fallen in love with that person, and they haven't taken the time to get to know them. Okay. Number 5, living in an unloving way.
I'm gonna make this one big.
And thinking that that has nothing to do with dating. It doesn't make any difference. So there were times I was quite unloving in the dating process. I would think this person, and then people would do it back to me. This person is not who I'm looking for, so. There are times that we feel like, of course no one in this room, but I would see people I was dating being rude to the waiter. As if that doesn't make any difference. I would see people who in their personal lives are very non-prejudiced, trying to be open to everyone, age, ethnicity, body size, whatever, and then in the dating process, they become very unloving towards people. As if this doesn't make any difference. It makes all the difference in the world. Because how loving we are is how loving a person we can attract. So people don't understand that everything you do matters. Every bit of lovingness that you are matters. This is going to show up in your dates. All right, number 4.
Has everybody got this? Because I gotta flip the page.
Yeah.
All right.
Can we have a drum roll?
Yay.
Trusting your gut. Good chapter on this in my book. So everyone thinks they should trust their gut, and guts are often wrong. The obvious example that you've probably thought about, I'm sure everyone has, is somebody who's been abused in childhood. And then we're like, why is she with guys who beat her up? Why does she keep doing that? Why does he keep doing that? Well, because that feels like love to them. They meet somebody and it feels like love because when they were a child, they learned love equals abuse. Or someone who's abandoned and then they start getting left a lot because love equals being abandoned. So we're not consciously going out looking for people who abuse us, or we're not consciously going out looking for people who will reject us, but there's that gut feeling that this seems familiar.
People call it chemistry all the time.
People call it chemistry, okay? So for me, I had a real, before I was in therapy for, I don't want to tell you how long, I used to meet gentlemen, and then after a period of time, they would be very verbally abusive to me, just like my dad. Now, I didn't think I was looking for that, but like, why does this keep happening? Because there's that gut feeling that this is a person that's like what I know. That can be one thing trusting your gut is your old unresolved patterns, which you can work out in psychotherapy, or you can do some work on yourself, or do whatever, or read some books. All of those things help. But if you're trusting your gut and you're meeting people who aren't really good for you, that's what it can be. Trusting your gut can also mean, wow, this person seems like the cultural ideal. This is like Rihanna. This is like, we were talking about Chris Hemsworth, this like the male guy right now, one of them. So it's like, this is my gut, that this is a good person. This goes along similarly to falling in love with strangers, but we feel like it's personal because, we actually will have a gut reaction. Wow, this feels right. Okay, number 3. Believing in the idea of rejection. So, a lot of people find dating not fun because you get rejected a lot, or you have to do rejecting. But what if there's no such thing? What if there's no such thing? So, the example I always like to give is when you go out to a party or a networking event and you find somebody and you like talking to them, and you kind of hit it off, and then you exchange numbers, but you never actually get together. You don't call that rejection. It's just modern life, it didn't happen. But in dating, that's like super painful, and something wrong with you or something wrong with the other person. It becomes this really important thing, and it means something. What if it's just the right thing that happens? My coach said to me, what if nothing's ever going wrong? I'd be like, well, they couldn't figure out what to say. He goes, how is that wrong? So I just made a fool out of myself. He goes, how is that wrong? You just go, how funny, I just made a fool out of myself. What if somebody ghosts you? It's good that they went away because they're not a very good communicator. But people are very victim of this. Oh my God, I was ghosted. This is a terrible thing. What if it's not?
But how do you not regard that as a waste of time, that you spent time with that person and then he ghosted you, and why do you
How do you do that in a social setting? What do you say to yourself in a social setting that you say to yourself that's different in the dating world? Is that a waste of time that you spend some time talking to a person at a networking event? Maybe a couple months later you met for tea, you never met him again. Is that a waste of time? It's just meeting people. It's just meeting people and being a loving person in the universe. But in dating, it's a waste of time. This wasn't the one. It becomes painful and a terrible experience when it doesn't have to at all. What if there's no rejecting going on? What if it's just not my cup of tea? You know, I'll go out with guys that weren't really interested in me. I say, oh, well, that's fine. But we're taught as women to have that means that I'm not attractive enough. And certainly when I was younger, I would think that was evidence that I wasn't attractive enough. And I don't find that evidence in any way anymore. It's just like, that's not a good fit. Just like I do in a social situation. So we use these words that make the dating process very painful, that we don't do in other parts of our life, and we don't have to see it that way. Dating mistake number 2, we're getting to the crux of it here. Letting the other person decide your value. So this really gets into why we're hurt by rejection, because we think then the other person has the ownership of whether I'm a valuable person or not. So this is this idea, if someone rejects me, it's because I'm not good enough. If an attractive person doesn't want to be with me, it's because I'm not attractive enough. We're all told things like we're too old, or we're too not the right body shape, or we're too this or that, or we're not, guys don't make enough money, or all these things that we let the other person decide whether we have value or not. My coach helped me switch that around. I decide if I'm pretty enough. I decide if I'm attractive enough. I decide if I'm loving enough. I decide. You don't decide for me. But we hand that over to the other person in the dating process. Am I good enough for you? Is he calling me back? Did he find me attractive enough? Does she think I'm hot enough? This is really causing a lot of pain in dating, is that we willingly hand this over in a way that we don't in social situations. We might do it somewhat in social situations because we're taught to do that, but we do it much more in dating. You hand someone else the decision power over my value as a human being, especially as a sexual human being. Take it back. Take it back. Have it in you. You hold that key. And number one dating problem, dating mistake. This gets its own page.
It gets its own page.
This is what you came for.
No pressure.
Glad I thought this through a little bit. Believing in magic. Dating is not magic.
Oh.
I know.
No, Catherine.
I know. You're gonna have to do the work. You're gonna have to put effort in. You're gonna have to probably change. You're gonna have to work on yourself. You know, I always thought, assuming it will just happen, like in a movie. Like I said at the beginning, maybe if you're 20. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, it could happen, but I hope it does for you. But I see this as the number one thing, is people are sitting in their houses waiting for it to happen. I've met quite a few people at parties who are in their 60s and 70s who are waiting for it to happen. I go, how's that gonna happen? I'm really curious. How's that gonna happen? They get mad at me for asking that question. This one woman, I went back to visit these people, they go, she was still mad at you. I said, all I asked her was how it was gonna happen. So people don't like having that magic idea that we've been sold, they don't like that being challenged. Not getting help. So it always baffled me on the dating apps. The free ones, I guess a lot of them can be free, but the 2 free ones I was on was Plenty of Fish and Cupid. Anybody on those?
Okay, Cupid.
They're totally out of date now probably, but anyway, they you can join them free, and then you can't get messages or whatever, or you can't even see who's messaging you. And then it's like something like $35 for 3 months it's like ridiculously cheap. And there's all these people who won't invest that much money in their dating life. The guys are like, you have to private message me because I don't see any likes. It's like, you won't even invest $35 in your dating life? This is one of the most important things in your life, finding love. You guys have probably heard these statistics. Happily married people live longer, they have less health problems.
They make an average of $2 million more in their lifetime than single people.
I'm waiting for that one. They want you to invest that piddly amount of money to join an online dating service because everyone's waiting for it to happen by accident. One reason I found my love was because I actually invested time and energy
And money.
in coaching, classes, working on myself, all kinds of things. And so we're here sponsored by Blakeswood. Blakeswood is a good investment. Coaching's a good investment for me. Therapy, all kinds of things. So really think how important this is to you and whether it's been working for you or not, and think whether that belief in magic is keeping you from finding this person, because it was for me.